Okay, so thanks to AI, now you know how in my head I come on stage, right? And now I've just basically really set myself up to disappoint you in the rest of this session. I'm going to talk a little bit about AI and creativity, right? I know we just heard about AI, and I've heard, I'm sure, enough about AI over the past few weeks, months, years. But when we talk about AI and creativity, this is what we normally think of, right? We can create any image we want, create a movie, right? You can vibe code if you want now, digital things. And that is part of the AI conversation when it comes to creativity. But I actually think there's a far, far more interesting dimension of AI and creativity, which I think is just not really being discussed at all, but is so much more relevant to the audience in this room, which I know is often a corporate audience. And I want to introduce this to a little story from Shell. And so I write about innovation, I read and write about it all the time. And so I was reading last year about the Shell Renewable Energy Hackathon that they run every year. And kind of so far so interesting. And one line just really jumped out at me. Because they said, right, they've been running this hackathon for 6 or 7 years, and they used to get a couple of hundred submissions, right? They set these kind of esoteric challenges. Last year's one was about how to use agricultural waste as an energy resource. And the guys who run it, they said, what's happened in the last couple of years? This year, they had 5,700, I can't see my notes, I think it's 62 teams submit over 9,500 potential solutions for this hackathon. They said they've seen an exponential increase in the number of submissions to this hackathon over the last couple of years. Right? And you don't have to be a genius, right? I know you're all smart people, to figure out what's going on here. Their hypothesis is it's because generative AI is making it so much easier for people who have this kind of half-baked idea about how they might solve this challenge to research it, to pull their ideas together, to get their submission, or to get their idea submission ready, right? The media would have us believe that AI is going to put us all out of a job and you press a button and you've got a finished passive income generating business and you're making 10 grand a month. You know, that's what the AI hype boys on Twitter will tell you, right? But we know it's not as simple as that. But what I do think is really interesting, and what I think is really interesting for you running innovation in large organizations, is what generative AI does to the innovation culture of your business and how it invigorates it. And this, I think, is the question that not enough people are asking when it comes to AI and creativity. All we hear about when it comes to AI is automation, efficiency, and McKinsey is going to unlock trillions of dollars of productivity gains. And if I have a longer session, I do a whole takedown of, the productivity myth that comes with AI. But this is the far more interesting question I think we could be asking ourselves. And so what I want to do, they never say do a live tech demo on stage. Not only am I going to do a live tech demo, as you guys have all been handed a piece of paper, if you're wondering what it is, I'm going to do a live tech demo where you, the audience, are actually going to do the work and we have no idea what's coming next. So we're going to do this together because I want to demonstrate the power of crowd-powered creativity, thanks to AI, right here, right now, in the next few minutes. So Max was very kind to invite me to do this session today, so I thought I'd give something back to him, right? Because we know that the era of events where people like me stand on stage and talk at you about what's coming next is deeply unsatisfactory, because you are working on some amazing things. So what we thought we'd do is let's crowdsource Max's agenda for next year's GIF conference, because you guys are working on some amazing things. So I'm talking for a bit so your brains can start thinking, because what I've got is on the next slide, I have a 60-second countdown timer. And as you can see, I'm going to ask you to draw something. Now, some of you are looking terrified because you probably think you can't draw. So spoiler alert, don't worry, neither can I. And we're going to use AI to do something cool with your drawings afterwards. So don't worry if you're drawing. This is meant to be a person lying in bed, sleeping, but it kind of looks like they're dead. So my vision was, wouldn't it be cool if there was a startup that had a lucid dreaming wearable coach, so I could put something on when I go to sleep, like The Matrix. Probably I'd watched The Matrix a few weeks ago. And you could just develop skills in your sleep. This is the startup that I want to see on stage at GIF next year. So if you're an aspiring entrepreneur, maybe this is your opportunity to pitch your own product, right? Draw your own product. If you're working in a corporate, maybe draw the product or new service, whatever it is that you're building right now. Or if neither of those things apply, just draw whatever you want to see on stage. Okay? Everyone clear on what we're going to be drawing? So I'm going to give you just 60 seconds. This is so quick. Okay? 60 seconds, countdown timer, and I've got a cheesy AI-generated song to keep us company when you're drawing. Let's go. Okay, I've also proved that AI is not going to put musicians out of a job anytime soon. So now this is where the cool bit starts, right? Because you've all got drawings in front of you, little doodle. Now if you take out your phone and scan this QR code, I'll do it with you, it will take you to a little website that I built a few months ago. And then if you scroll down, if you scroll down, you'll see underneath the box, underneath the camera, there's a little box saying, describe your image. This is where we allow you to, if you've drawn something completely nonsensical, you can give the AI a little steer. Yeah, add a few words describing what you've drawn, okay, and then click on the screen to take a photo. Has everyone done that? Because now, say a few words, click generate. Right, hopefully some of you, who's got the results coming in? Some people have had their result. Okay, so now, guys, can we go to the live webpage? Because that's kind of interesting on your own, right? You've now seen. But what's really cool is because I've built this myself, I can now show you all of the images. The screen's too big for me to see. I can now show you all of the images that this room, what is the collective intelligence? Like, what do we as an audience want to see? And they're going to keep on coming in. So now we've got enough. Maybe if you just untick the auto-refresh in the top, because this just keeps on loading. Now, I should say my final slide is a QR code. If you want to get access to all of the images and my little presentation, there's links to it. Scan the QR code and I'll drop this a Dropbox link and you can get access to all of these images. Right, so if we scroll down, so we've got everything you own is rented. I'm not sure what on earth is going on the right there. Okay, let's go down. Automated dog wash. I love this. Okay. A chef preparing you meals, I guess. An AI-generated room for working remotely without a headset. Personalization, how cool is that? I love that image on the left. Okay, a pill optimized to your individual user health needs. Nice. Family tree. Okay, drone that delivers Notpla direct to you. I love this. Someone's been paying attention. Look at how cute they are. A carbon negative viticulture. Okay, inclusive AI trainer. Amazing. Nice. Okay, so guys, look, I know we've only got a brief moment. So you can scroll down and see. Can we go back to the main slides? Let me turn this around so we can see what I'm talking about. Okay. Okay. So look, I've done this with a couple of thousand people over the last few months, and there's a few things that I've learned, because hopefully this is just a bit of fun, right? And when you do it with a bunch of people from different organizations, as I say, here we're just asking you to imagine startups, it is just a bit of fun. What I've learned when you do this with an organization, I think there's some quite profound messages coming out of this. Again, I touched on it earlier. We hear so much about AI being about automation and putting us out of a job. What I see again and again, right? Most people here, we work in innovation, we work in creative industries, so we're probably okay sharing a napkin sketch, right? But if you work in law, healthcare, financial services, important businesses that do serious things, maybe the culture is one of perfection, right? People feel nervous to share their half-baked ideas, like I talked about earlier. And what I hear, it's fascinating, if you do this in smaller groups, even when the AI gets it wrong, you hear people say, that wasn't quite what I meant to. There's something very magical about having your idea taken slightly away from you, and it breaks down the barrier for people sharing their ideas, right? It makes them feel more confident to share their ideas. And of course, that leads us on to the other piece. Again, we know this because you will work in innovation and creativity. This brings new voices into the conversation about innovation. I think this is such an important moment for you if you're in organizations, because let's say you get 1,000 ideas a year from your employees. Right? We know frontline employees see problems, and they probably have ideas for solutions, but they don't share them because they're busy people. You're running them at 100% already. within the organization. So anything that can help people, new people, share their ideas, raise their hands, right, and put ideas on the table. I think it's such an exciting moment for everyone in this room. And look, the final piece is, this is just still such early days. Like, we literally changed the AI model on Sunday to upgrade it so the images are a bit better. We're playing around with animating them. As you know, the pace of change is moving so fast. The thing that I've launched this week, which I'm really excited about, and some of you may have noticed in your results, is how can we extend this? How can we add value to this? So on your results page, you will have a little button that says a roast me button, right? And we've simulated, these are 2 AI agents. When you press this button, you will get a fake WhatsApp conversation, or I should say a synthetic WhatsApp conversation. This is entirely AI generated, the image. It's costing us a fortune because we have to use ChatGPT 4.0 for it, or the image gem, whatever. Synthetic conversation between 2 AI agents, one of whom thinks your idea is the best idea in the world, and the other one thinks it's a terrible idea, and they're arguing over it. This was just a fun attempt to try and humanize the conversation around AI agents, which is so often really dehumanizing, I think. So this is us playing around with it. The serious product that, again, we just started, so you guys are literally the second group in the world to see this, is we've built, and you will all have one of these in your results. It then generates a kind of innovation feasibility study and roadmap to launch for your idea. Right? All AI generated in real time. Right? And then, again, I'll be really interested. Let me know if yours is complete gobbledygook. I've looked at probably 100 of them over the past 72 hours. Of course, they're not as good as what you would do, right, if you're an innovation professional. But they're quite interesting, right? And they gives you potential customer segments. And this is where I think it gets really interesting. As I said, this is useful for you on your own to have this, especially if you're not an innovation professional. Where I think it gets really, really, really exciting, and the thing that I can't wait to roll out more, is when you do this with a corporate organization, a single organization, right? If you go into Lego or Unilever and ask the entire company to imagine what product we could be selling next year, that would have taken you 6 weeks and cost you 6 figures from some expensive consultancy. Now you can do it in a fun way in 10 minutes like we've done here and get whatever it is, 500, 1,000 of these innovation reports. You can then download them and, of course, use AI to analyze them. So as I said, my final slide is a Dropbox link, which has my presentation in at the moment. What I'm going to do immediately after this is download all of your images, drop them into Google Notebook LM, create a little podcast discussing all the key themes of the things that you've drawn. I mean, I only showed a few of them. And have an analysis of what are the hidden trends beneath what you guys have collectively created in the last 5-10 minutes. And this is where I think AI is so exciting. Why are we not looking for more use cases with AI when it is about creativity, not just around automation and efficiency? So that's enough from me. Thank you, Max, so much for giving me a few moments. It's been loads of fun to share this with you.